Hello my crafty friends, I hope you are well. Just a quick one from me. We've got a beautiful card to make today, and the technique I'm going to show you is how to create this effect with your stamps. If you've got a stamp that doesn't quite fit the space that you want, we're going to show you how to do some masking and to mask it off. I hope you're like, isn't that pretty? Yes, it's a card for a box, but isn't that pretty? It's all about using what you've got in your stash. So yeah, I didn't have a sentiment or a stamp that did a sentiment background just how I wanted, so I made it fit by masking it off. I love how I've got little bits of splatters on there. We've made a flower, we've got some foliage. How beautiful is that? If you like that, stay tuned and we'll see how it's made. My thinking behind this card was possibly a little bit different today. And if you've seen any of my previous ones, you know how I love making flowers. I thought I would also bring in some other dies that I already have. Now, as is so important with everything that I make, I wanted to use things that I already had. So these are an old set of dies that I've already had. They are Lisa Hortons. So you always know Lisa Hortons because they're like the green. I've just got some nesting stars and I'm going to use a couple of those. Those are just a cheap set that I already had, and these were, I think they're the Peony ones from Crafter's Companion. So again, it's all about using what I've already got. So I've cut a piece of card 6 inches by 4.5 inches. The reason for that is I'm going to pop a piece of card onto their paper. This is from a 6-inch paper pad. It is the Country Lane paper pad. There we go. And I'm actually using the B side of one of the papers. So this, so obviously it's 6 inches. I could have used a 12 by 12, but obviously the gaps between the panels of wood would have been bigger, and I didn't want that. So I like the 6-inch pad. So to get this piece to fit top to bottom, I had to go 6 inches to there, and then I just picked a width that would work. Told you sometimes my measurements, it's quite unusual where they come from. So we've got this piece of white card and I'm going to do some stamping. Now, you often look at stamps and think, I don't need all that. I don't need everything. So piece of white card, and then I've got a piece of masket tape, and I've cut an arc out. So I'm always using the negative. So I've kept that piece for something else. Let me just move that magnet. And I'm going to stick this on to my card. So I'm going to stick this on just like that. Now I'm going to just show it so you can see it's just on the back on there. So you can see it's there, you know, that's how much of the card it's covering. So I've got about that much of white space. So all I'm doing is protecting the card so that nothing stamps over that bit of the card. That's all I want to do. So pop that down there. Now there's another little bit that ripped off. I'm just going to pop that back on there because I want it just to come round like that. I want it to go right off the page, top and bottom. Actually, that doesn't look very even. Should we just try that again? I think I could get that on better. Let's see if I can get that on better so that my sort of arc is a bit more symmetrical. There we go. It's sort of finishing a bit closer to each other. So what I've got is I've got a texture stamp. It's from Funky Fossil. It's sentiment one, and I want to use that, but I don't want to use it all. So just make sure it's clean. I don't want it to go on my there dirty. So I'm going to pop that. Ooh, so that's quite well held down. I do still have the magnet, so I'm going to pop the magnet on just here, and then I'm going to pop this over there just like that, so you can see it's running off the edge, but it's all right. And then I've just got another piece of masket tape, because what I want to do is I want to make sure I don't stamp over that edge, because I want that to be white. It'll all make sense in a minute. So we can put that on. Have I got that? Oh, my text was upside down. So let's put that on to there. There we go. So that's going to now stamp onto there, but it's going to also stamp onto the masket tape. So I know we usually do masket tape when we've got something underneath, but there's no reason why you can't put masket tape on just to protect it, the area, so that you only actually use part of the stamp. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to ink onto here, but again, I'm not going to do I don't want perfection ink. And if anything, what I could do is almost just get my cloth and dab a bit off. So it's not perfect. And if you look, you can see I've got some gaps. Maybe they're a little bit too much of a gap. Let's see if I can get a little bit on there. There we go. There we are. Right. And then we can pop this over. So it probably will only need one inking because we really are only trying to get it partially. There it is. I couldn't see my pressure tool. Still using my pressure tool onto here because I've got a step effectively. So I just need to make sure I've pressed really hard. And there you go. Now you can see the inking isn't perfect, and that is exactly what we're after. We just want sort of vintage text. But look at that shape. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? It's so different. Oh, while we're in here, I'm going to do that. Take that from here, pop that on there, make sure my hands are clean. I've got some stamps which are from Crafter's Companion monthly box number 45. I told you I wrote them all down on the back. And then I can put my sentiment onto there. Wishing my beautiful friend a happy birthday. Oops, I ought to take that one off first. There we go. I can pick that up. Same ink. I am just using my Memento because it works for me. I like the effect. I also like the intensity of the black. This will take a couple of stamps because just the type of stamp it is. They always take a couple of inkings, but it's not a problem when you've got a good quality stamping platform. There we go. There we go. So I've now got my sentiment on there and I've got my background as well. So this is all coming together. Let me just put I've moved my paper behind. As you'll have noticed, I've got myself a new cloth on my work table and I've ruined it within like the first go. So I'm just covering it up while I get my new one. Right, so that's going to go on there. And then this is going to go on there. So you can see why I masked off that side, because all I want is the sentiment to come out of there. So let's give that a bit of glue and we can do gluing onto there. I'm just going to have a look because I'm going to glue it onto this one for the only reason that I put some tape on. So this is exactly the same, it's just one I'd already done, but I put tape on it to speed it up. So I can pop this onto here. So I can pop that on there. So it reaches the top, it reaches the bottom, but I've got a nice little white border down the side. But now I've got my text coming out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this a couple of times. And what I'm going to do is, let's use this mat on here. So I put it into my sophisticated, what do you call it? Ink station. That's not the word I was looking for, but I know what I mean. I'm going to put a little bit of black ink in there. I thought I had a black spray and I couldn't find one, so this will have to do. A little bit of water reactive, put that onto there. Then I'm just going to get a paintbrush. Oh, that one looks better. Pick that up. See, it's going to be a bit more diluted than I would have liked. And I just want to get a few little black splatters. I hope you can see up there. They look like it's in the centre of my camera. Why is it whenever you splatter, it always goes everywhere but not where you want it to? We're going to do some more splatters in a minute, but in white. Ah, there we go. Right, there's the black. Done. Get rid of that. So I can take that. I'm just going to dry that. I'll give it 1 second to dry and then I'll be right back. You don't need to see that. I don't want to smudge them, so I'm just going to dry those off. All right, so we've just given that a little bit of detail on there. So let's put this on the card and then we can get it, drying. So it was a 7-inch card base, but I've trimmed it down. It's still the 7-inch top there. It's to fit a 7-inch card envelope it was. So it's about 7 inch there, and I think it was about 5.5 inches across there. So I've got some pink card, which took me the longest time to find a pink that matched the pink of that Country Lane wooden panel one. Took me the longest. That's been the longest bit. I don't think you realise sometimes getting these together. I make this card and it'll take, I don't know, 14-15 minutes, maybe a little bit more, maybe 20 minutes. But the actual prep sometimes is ages. Right, I've got a piece of matte. Well, it's sort of a matte gold. You can see I've cut some shapes out already out of there because I wanted to use that, maximise the gold, get the most out of it. And that's going to go onto here. So I've got the pink showing. I could have taken the centre out of that pink, and I probably should have done, because that would be a brilliant pink for making flowers and filigree, and I never thought, but never mind. So, oops, that just moved. Let's move that back. There we go. That's just, the pink is just a Crafter's Companion 12 by 12 pastel pink paper pad. It's a really, really popular one. It's just a really nice colours. And then I'm going to take this one that I've done, and I'm going to take the back off there. Go look at Sticks 2 for all your tape and adhesives. It's where I tend to go and have a look. Now, you know me, I always put a little bit of wet glue all the way down there. It just helps me to pop this on to here. And if I need to move it, I can lift it. There we go. That's pretty good. What I tend to do now is just get my stamping block, put that over it. You don't need to put any weight on. You can. I'll probably put my glue bottle on top just to hold it down while I do everything else. So let's bring these back in here, and you can see I've got these peony flower dies, and I've got a couple cut out already just here. So we want to make them as pretty as we can. So all I'm going to do is going to bring in 2 inks, Pink Tulip and Lemon Tonic, and I've got my daubers. If I can find my daubers. Right, now I've got my normal daubers that you see these all the time, my normal daubers, but recently I came across some mini daubers. I think these are brilliant. Look at this. I'm going to put them aside. Normal dauber, mini dauber. How perfect is that? Just gives you a little bit more control. So we're going to use that, and we're going to take these, get the pink. This is a really pale pink, is Pink Tulip. And we're just going to go over the edge, just like that. And I love how you get that darker pink. So if you can see that, make sure you see that. You get the darker pink around the edge and that lighter pink blending into the middle. I'm just doing that. I don't think I've made one of these flowers up and you can't really see underneath, but it's a habit I've got into, and it just makes me feel happy to know that both sides of any petals are ink. Now this is just about a 200 GSM cardstock, 220, not overly thick but not too thin. I started it off with one that was a bit thinner, that was maybe about 180, and it just felt too thin. So on my smallest one, and I only need to do it on the smallest one because you won't see it on any of the others, get a little bit of ink on my smaller blender and then just blend into the centre. There we go. Look at that. I couldn't do that with a big dauber because it would go everywhere. So really chuffed with that. So the next thing I want to do, oops, dropping bits about, bring in a foam mat, and again you want your ball tools. Ball tools are really important for doing something like this. Yes, you could do it with your your hand, your thumb into your hand, but you'll not get this same result. So you can see, just breaking down those fibres, just breaking down those fibres as much as you can. Sometimes I go in with a smaller one once I've broken them down a bit, and just do that. If you find your cardstock's really quite for maybe a little bit of a mist with some water, let it dry and then have a go, because again that will help with the fibres breaking down. Turn it round and then just press on like that. On like that, there we go. And then all I do is I've got a few more. Now the first one I made with the biggest leaf first. There was 3 sizes, you can see there. I made it with the biggest one. I'm going to try this with the smaller one. I'm going to grab my tacky glue. I'm going to pop a little bit in there. And then, right, now that goes, I'm going to try and make sure I turn this, because this one isn't a symmetrical one, and I always struggle with this flower looking unsymmetrical. Now I actually like this with just 2 leaves. I think it can look pretty. All I'm doing is holding that down, giving that tacky glue time to grab. But I'm going to go in with my 3rd one. I did 4 layers on my sort of prototype. I'm actually only going to do 3 on here. So let's go again. I'm trying to make sure that I balance it, pop it on to there. So once it's dry, you can be doing lots of shaping, and really you don't want too heavy a cardstock, because it just won't shape. So once you've done that, we can then You can put a pearl in the centre. I like my pearl ones, pin flare pearl ones. Look at this, you can tell I've had it a while. And then I just get it down. This one's nearly empty. I need some more yellow. I need more yellow. There we go. It's coming down. And I'm going to do a nice, big, chunky centre. The great thing is it self-levels. And we're going to pop that just like that. And that is my flower. Isn't that pretty? I like this one better because it's a little bit smaller than the other one. I'll show you the other one that I made just an hour or so ago. So I think that's still, oh no, that's just starting to skin over. That one's beautiful, but that's got 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. So it has this one as the bottom layer. You'll see when I do the finished project, it's just a little bit too big. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to pop that to one side for a minute. And the other thing I've done, as I said, I've used the Lisa Horton, what are they? Tags. So I've cut one out of some card and I've just trimmed a bit off because I don't want it all. And this one was a full length one. And as you can see, look, I've cut it and overlapped it just to make it a bit shorter. But I wanted the tails at both ends. Don't worry, that's not going to be seen in any way. So I've basically got everything that I need. I've cut a star out. Oops, just a minute, it's got stuck. I've cut a star out. I've cut some foliage and I actually cut this out of the scraps of the pink. I don't know how much of this I'm actually going to use. And also out of that same gold, because you saw that gold was on the, I cut that out of that base layer. Just off the scrappy pieces, why do they always twiddle themselves together? There we go. Oops. There we go. I've cut myself a couple of embellishments, and as you saw, I've cut a little silver one, star as well. Oh, and the other thing I've done is I've tied some twine. It's still movable, so I just need to make sure I don't do it, but that's quite good because it's making my loops all different sizes. So I've just tied that very roughly together. So let's bring back the card base. See, we're nearly there. What did I say, about 20 minutes? I think that's going to be about right. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to pop on the tails. So the first one, let's put it on flat. So a little bit of glue all the way down the centre. And that's going to go here. But I need it to come. I'm more worried about what's going to be visible at the top for this one. And then this one, as you can see, I put one side of foam tape on there because I want to overlay that just there. So can you see all my rough edges are coming to a roughly the same place. So let's do some of the other little bits first. So let's come in. What I'm going to do is, I'm trying to think this through. Yeah, I'll do it with some 3D glue gel. I'm going to put a blob of 3D glue gel on here because that will really help me. And I'm going to pop a couple of these flourishes on. And let's do another one. I can always trim it down if I don't need it all. Let's do another one. Yeah, I'm going to trim that. Let's trim that to there. And then I can put one, oops, just like that. See, just coming off the edge. I like things that break the lines. Then I'm going to come in with some of the foliage. And again, we could trim some of it down. And then I can pop in a piece just there. It's all going to be under the star. See, it doesn't matter if you don't trim it down, but I just think it just takes away a little bit of the bulk. Let's put that one on. And rather than be symmetrical, let's go with a completely different one on there. So there we go. So that's how that's going to go. And then you can see I've put some foam pads on the back here. But what I thought I would do again is get my 3D glue gel and just put a little bit over those foam pads, a little bit in the centre. And that will then put it on. Now, the temptation is to go like that. I don't want it like that. Oops, I've just picked up an embellishment. That one went that way. I want it to come that way. And the great thing is, if I feel like everything's not quite in the right place, because it's all been done with 3D glue gel, nothing is, oops, sorry, move that. Nothing is dry, so it means I can move it around. There we go. How does that look? And I can press that down. There we go. I like that with the star just a bit skewy. So then the next thing I'm going to do this with a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to put a little blob of hot glue just here. So you've seen we've gone through so many different glue mediums, haven't we? And then I'm going to grab this and I'm going to get different size loops. Works really well. There we go. You can see all the different size loops coming out. Just, it doesn't matter if the knot comes untied once it's all in the glue, because, well, it's not going to go anywhere. So then I'm going to get my flower and I'm going to pop a little bit more hot glue on the back of there. Gosh, this hot glue gun's warming up nicely, isn't it? It's been just going the time I've been doing this video. And I'm going to pop this, I'm going to pop it down just there, so that the star's coming out. I can't see that bottom point, but that's absolutely, I don't want it smack bang in the centre. How beautiful is that? Now, the last thing I want to do to finish this off, I mentioned another bit of splattering. So I'm going to take that, and I've just got, you see, I keep coming back to this. I'd love to know what people use to do white splats, because I'm struggling to find something that I like to do white splats. I tend just to go with this. Again, you know me, it's all about using what you've got. Oh, it's going everywhere but in the box. Going everywhere but in the box. I know you could spray, but I don't want to spray. I want splats, and I'm getting a few splats down there. I want some splats on the flower. Splats on the gold star. See if I can get some. No, I need. Oh, that's better. Not coming out very fast. I need to find a splatty medium. I need to ask around what people are using, but I like the white over there. So that will just need to dry a little bit, but once that's dry, obviously it'll look lovely. But I don't want it too heavy, but I just want to, that's it, just make it a little bit vintage. There we go. They're so hard to control, aren't they, splats? There, that's it. I'm leaving it. I've got some on the, I was aiming for the star. Put the lid on there. And that, my friends, is today's card. Isn't that pretty? So today, instead of doing a fabric or a foam flower, we have done a paper flower. And I can almost just wipe those off there, I think. There we go. How about that? I am loving that. I hope you like that. Again, we're following that mantra of use what you've got. I didn't have the right size tails, so I cut them down. I didn't have a stamp that, you know, that just gave me enough of the sentiments. So we used some masking tape. You know, all those things that you've probably got in your crafty stash. Let's get them out and get them being used and see what beautiful projects you can be making. I love that. I think it's so pretty. Yes, I'd probably put it in a box, but I just think that works really well. I hope you like that. As always, there'll be links down at the bottom in the description, links to things that I have purchased, links to my Buy Me a Coffee page. I hope you like it. Now we're not on Christmas anymore, so I've got freedom to do. But wouldn't this make an easy Christmas card? Make that reds and greens, make that a poinsettia. All the time we're looking at these things and we're thinking how we can change them as well. So I hope you like that. I've had good fun making that. I hope you do. Don't forget to post any makes that this has inspired you to do. And until next time, happy crafting, my friends.